Now, I think one thing that a lot of fans have to give Jon and Dave a lot of credit for is how they have really been keeping the fans in the loop for the past couple of months about all of their upcoming Star Wars projects that are announced, and some of which that have been unannounced, that's really going to explore all different avenues of the Star Wars franchise and exactly what Jon and Dave have been teasing about the future, exactly what to expect, what's in store by, of course, them as creators, and a lot more. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the kind and great support. Now that brings us to Favreau. He's been teasing a lot of different things regarding Luke, Ahsoka, other characters out there like Din Djarin and Grogu, and what's to come for Mando 3 and 4, and even beyond that. And that really does uplift the fans. It really gets them a little bit more excited than usual, a lot more engaged and hyped for the fans, of course, and that's Jon and Dave's job. They like to hype up the fans. They like to make fans feel excited. So tonight, with the Mando Season 3 trailer on the way, that's just the beginning of the marketing for the Mandoverse. Now, on top of this, what's really exciting is what Jon Favreau recently had to say about Luke Skywalker and his future within this Mandoverse era and exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Now, Jon Favreau's been teasing a lot of different things as of late, everything ranging from Luke's future to Grogu's identity to a hidden story about Din Djarin that will be explored, all these different avenues that they are about to take in the future Mando seasons, as well as Star Wars Ahsoka and more. However, that brings us to the next big thing here involving Luke. Now, of course, with Jon Favreau currently very busy with the roadmap of the Star Wars franchise, Favreau has been teasing more about his goals and plans for the future of the franchise with all of the upcoming shows for Disney+. Now, Favreau went on to reveal the following to the fandom when he was questioned about Luke Skywalker's future and journey. He stated, "Well, one thing that I am very happy and excited to share is that we are looking at retelling Luke's story from Dark Empire at some point. Those Dark Empire comics are what I grew up with in the 90s when getting into any kind of film and acting career, and I loved how it explored different angles of Luke, and this is something that I am talking about with Dave right now, on how we can establish that later down the road for the fans. We feel that it's always a good thing to explore as much Legends material as we can, especially with a character like Luke, and of course what that can provide for the fandom." Now let me just pause here for 1 second about what Favreau is saying before we get to the more involved stuff of what he actually says. In case you guys don't know anything about Dark Empire, in that comic lineup and audiobook, or radio drama, back then, in there it's a big story about how Luke falls to the dark side under the influence of Palpatine when he gets resurrected, and basically Luke does turn to the dark side, but not in the way that you would imagine. It's as if he challenges the dark side from within to understand exactly why his father fell, to understand exactly what the dark side is like and how it overtakes somebody's mind. That's what he explored, and that's kind of like what he got lost into in experimenting that, and it's a very interesting story. I do suggest that you guys go ahead and look up the Dark Empire radio drama, listen to it as you go to bed, or during a car ride, whatever have you. It's a great listen and or read. Now, that brings us to what Favreau is teasing here, is that this is without a doubt teasing a dark side version of Luke at some point in time later down the road. How far later down the road, we're not quite sure just yet, but Jon and Dave are working on this, and they are actually putting it out there that this is in the process of being made by exploring the angle of Luke from Dark Empire. Now, a lot of fans may not like that Dark Empire story lineup because, well, nobody necessarily wants Luke to turn to the dark side, and I can understand that, but to really make things all the more clear, like I said before, the way that Luke falls is a very different way than Anakin falls, or Ben Solo falls to the dark side, or anybody else out there for that matter. Luke fell to the dark side mainly to challenge it from within, and to understand why his father fell. And in that experiment, like I said before, he gets lost. So, in the Dark Empire comics, it's a very interesting story. I love how Jon Favreau admits that it's something that he himself grew up with in the 1990s and loved those Dark Empire, comic lineups. Now, on to the next thing. He goes on to say, so yeah, we have been going over how we can tell a live-action iteration of that story of Dark Empire's version of Luke in one of our upcoming projects that we are constantly working on that I am thrilled to plan on announcing later this year, perhaps. It really all depends on how our scheduling and slate of shows that we have in development work out. This is something that we took up with George Lucas, and he loved the idea of exploring this side of Luke Skywalker for a brief time. We know many fans love Dark Empire, and we want to expand that into the canon. So if you guys have read up on Dark Empire, when Luke falls to the dark side, he does not fall to the dark side for a very long time. It's kind of hard to project exactly how long, but it's a couple of weeks at maximum. Alright, so he doesn't fall to the dark side for a very long time. It's more of a short-term thing for him, but he does fully turn to the dark under Palpatine. Now, that brings up the biggest question of all. Does this mean that Jon Favreau is going to have Palpatine, manipulate Luke to turning to the dark side, or is it going to be something totally different? We're not quite sure about that just yet. We already know that they are planning on gearing up Palpatine clones to be inserted into the Mandoverse, and how that's going to be used as a way to retcon the sequel trilogy in certain angles. So it could very well be something like that. But as far as we know right now, we're not quite sure if it's Palpatine who is going to be influencing Luke to that side of the darkness. But Favreau really putting it out there that the Dark Empire iteration of Luke is in the works, it is being talked about every single day, and they do want to do it in a future project. And this is something that is in development and is actually being worked on. So I think that some fans may love this and some fans may hate this. It's a love-hate type of thing when it comes to those comics, for sure. A lot of fans love those comics. A lot of fans are just like, it's alright. It's not the greatest thing in the world. But I think it really was something so original, something so dark, and just fun to read and listen to. Again, guys, like I said before, if you have a lot of free time, listen to the radio drama of Dark Empire. You can find it somewhere. And listen to it as you go into bed, or if you're, driving somewhere, whatever have you. So anyways, that brings us to the final thing that I do want to bring up, is John and Dave's vision of Luke and how they brought this up to George, and even George approved of this, which is very exciting and very surprising. You would think that George would like this because, let's face it, originally he wanted Luke to become Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi in the initial script, so makes a lot of sense why he would approve this. So overall, I would like to hear what each and every one of you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No